Role of the President in the USA Constitution. Part 1. Introduction. The American President is a very popular figure in his country, and he is one of the most powerful personalities in the present-day international world. The Constitution has vested executive power in him. He combines in his person the powers and functions of a king and a prime minister. He is the head of state as well as the head of government. He is also a national leader. Initially, the president was not a party man. But when political parties grew up in American politics, the president became a party man and the leader of his party. Qualifications. Any citizen can be the President of the United States provided he possesses the following qualifications. A. A candidate must be at least 35 years of age. B. A candidate must be a natural-born citizen of the USA. C. A candidate must have resided for 14 years within the country. However, it is not to be interpreted as a continuous and uninterrupted period of 14 years preceding the election. D. He is not a member of Congress. Election of the President. The Constitution provides that the President should be elected by an electoral college consisting of as many presidential electors as the number of members in both houses of Congress. Sources of the powers of President. Following are the sources from where the President of the U.S. derives his power and authority. A. Constitution. B. Statutes of Congress. C. Supreme Court decisions. D. Usages and customs. Powers of the U.S. President. The power of the U.S. President can be classified under the following headings. A. Executive powers. The Constitution has vested executive powers in the President, but it is mainly silent on questions of ways and means of exercising it, except in a few respects. Different aspects of the President's executive powers are as follows. 1. Enforcement of law. The President is responsible for the enforcement of the Constitution and the laws that are made by Congress. In cases of resistance, the President has the power to use force. 2. Powers of appointment. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution gives a list of the appointments to be made by the President with the advice and consent of the Senate. However, all inferior appointments can be made by the President alone. 3. Power of removal. The Constitution is silent about the question of removing the officers whom the President appoints. There was a dispute about whether it should be exercised by the President alone or with the advice and consent of the Senate, but this dispute was settled by the Supreme Court of the U.S. in Myers case. Myers v. United States, 1926. 4. Chief Administrator. The President is the head of the national administration. He has the power to supervise its operations and has the right to control the entire administration. 5. Military powers. The President is the supreme commander of the armed forces of the United States, and he is responsible for the defense of the United States. He is fully authorized to deploy the armed forces anywhere in and out of the country. Martin v. Mott, 1827, b. Legislative powers. Under certain conventions, the President's role in legislation becomes extensive, while Congress has appreciated the President's legislative role. 1. Messages. The President can send messages to Congress conveying his proposals on important issues. Such proposals from the President are given full consideration during the legislative process. The famous message to Congress includes President Wilson's 14 points. 2. State of the Union Address. The opening address of the President at each session of Congress is known as the State of the Union message. 3. Convening an extra session of the Congress. The President can't summon ordinary sessions of the Congress but summons its extraordinary sessions under special conditions, like when emergencies arise. 4. Veto power. The President can exercise veto power in the legislative field. There are the following kinds of veto power. A. Suspensive veto. According to it, he can return the bill to Congress for reconsideration. If the bill is passed by a 2/3 majority of Congress, it shall become law without the President's consent. B. Pocket veto. If the session of Congress adjourns before the expiration of 10 days and the bill has not been approved by that time, it will be termed a pocket veto. 5. Direct pressure on the Congress. The President is the leader of the nation. When his efforts to convince the House prove futile, he makes a bid for popular support. C. Judicial power. A president enjoys the following judicial powers. 1. Appointment of judges. The President appoints judges with the approval of the Senate. 2. Power of pardon and reprieve. The President has the power to grant pardons and reprieves. A pardon is a release from a liability for punishment. It may be absolute or conditional. Continued in Part 2.